Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Gems for Gems Hope in Hell. My name is Laura Lee Harrison, and I am a Gems ambassador. We have come a long way from the days before #MeToo, when Gems would be contacted regularly saying that most women who say they are abused are just saying that to get back at their ex. We have gained much acceptance of the reality that people are being abused across the street, in our neighbors' houses, and even often within our own families. Yet, we as a community still struggle to understand the varying forms of domestic abuse, their lasting effects on brain chemistry, self-esteem, and the future impact on all victims, including the children. Yes, even if they just witnessed it. Hope in Hell has been designed to show the different forms of abuse, but also to show that no matter how bad things get, there is always a hope in hell. These stories are real-life accounts of abuse from male and female survivors who got through, clung to hope, and have now built a sustainable life. Some accounts will be read instead of an interview, as many survivors continue to live in fear of their abuser, because although they left, the abuser often doesn't stop doing everything in their power to hurt their victims. For many, it simply never ends. Today, we have our second anonymous story. Somehow, I had the exact right combination of hardship and abuse to make me strong enough to overcome and create the life of my dreams. Much more would have likely broken me. Any less would not have created the fire within me. I am proof that no matter how broken you feel you are, time will turn open wounds into scars, and scars mean you are stronger than you ever were before. Enough scars and you have armor, fire encased in armor. Once you learn how to control it and still be open to love and human connection, you can do, become, or create whatever you put your mind to. My story begins in a small village, far away from everything. It took 20 minutes to buy groceries or to get to a fire station, 35 minutes to a police station, and it was over 2 hours from the closest city. We were raised by my mom. My dad would come and visit about once a year. He would send money most months, but he was often out of work, so even if he was doing the best he could, it was next to nothing. So my mom had to rely on what she called Mr. Man. Who is Mr. Man, you ask? Well, he is every man. He is any man. He is how a house full of women get through broken down cars, water leaks in the house, burying pets, not having food, heat, or warm water. It was incredibly important to my mother that our family be perceived as wealthy. This may sound laughable when we couldn't eat or even have wood for our wood stove, which was our only source of heat. Yet my mom wouldn't work. She watched us lose weight, have our hair fall out from malnutrition, not have socks or underwear without holes, or even hot water to wash in. Don't ask what we had to do to get around this. Despite this, she wouldn't work because all she was qualified for were frontline jobs, which she felt were menial. She felt those jobs were beneath her. You see, she chose to marry my dad because he was smart, athletic, and was going to be a lawyer. He was a serial entrepreneur who hadn't had his break, and she couldn't stomach having to work when she felt entitled to a life of affluence. So, as you can imagine, this put us in quite the predicament. My first introduction to sexual abuse came at the hands of one of the many Mr. Mans my mom surrounded us with. But in truth, my introduction to abuse came from the mother who was willing to prostitute me in order to get bills waived, favors, social status, and much more. It is difficult to nail down an exact time it started, but all I know is that when it did, it all did. If I didn't sparkle enough when I was brought into the room when she was given a bill for the car, and the bill wasn't either waived or significantly reduced, I was punished. She needed frequent help around the house from one man, and she had him over to our house all the time. I was told to sit on his lap, was felt up all the time, and was told what he would like to do with me, to me. I was ashamed, and I just kept my head down, and my mom would just roll her eyes and look away. This type of thing happened a lot, and any time I said anything to my mom, she would just say, "He helps us a lot, you know." When I was 14, the worst thing in my young life happened by a priest that had been incredibly familiar with me for years. People joked about him liking to have me up there as an altar server because he's still just a man after all. Well, one day he was just a man. After that, he was just a man every Sunday for a year while my mother waited for me with my siblings after church for an hour or more. This broke me. I knew she knew something was wrong, but she never checked on me, ever. One time she called me at the back of the church, but I took too long to come to her. And when I looked up at her, I saw in her eyes that she knew, and I just looked away. I know many people probably wonder why I didn't say something, but I was groomed, and had been for years by that point. Groomed to let men who help my family do what they will, because otherwise my family will not be safe. I knew my mom saw all the rest, and she did nothing. So who do I tell? I couldn't tell on her and have our family broken up. My siblings and I spoke about that now and again, but always agreed we never wanted to be separated. I graduated from high school winning many awards for sports and academics because I threw myself into achieving so as to not think about the rest. The only person I told was the next priest we were sent. And I was told it wasn't my fault, but it wasn't his fault either. It was the devil using the many gifts God gave me to tempt good men. He then confessed that he too was tempted by me, and that now he understands why. I was given a litany of prayers to say, begging God to give me the strength to stay away from all men so that Satan didn't have his way. I was only 16. By the time my second year of university had begun, I had met someone amazing, someone who showed me maybe I could trust, love, and be safe with. He went away for the year and we decided to do long distance. This was it for me, the big love. One night, I went out with my best friend, and she was drinking heavily. I, too, had consumed the standard university girl amount. When she wanted to go home with someone we knew, I went with her because we had an agreement. We wouldn't leave each other. That night, a man staying with my friend's mate for the night raped me. I was ashamed and left after it happened. I sent her a text and said I had to go. She didn't ask any questions in the following days, which I was grateful for. All I could think of was the priest's words flying around in my head. I had fought. I had called for help. But the music was so loud in the bedroom my friend was in, no one heard me. Again, I told no one. I was sickened. Sadly, because of my experience in my childhood with the priest, I knew instinctively how to move forward. A few weeks later, my back became incredibly sore. I had no idea what was happening to me, but it persisted. And the worst came into my mind. Pregnancy? I took the test, and it was confirmed. I was carrying a baby who was the product of a rape. The pregnancy was horrible. I was sent away by my family and told not to wear any makeup and to ensure no one sees or recognizes me. I had the baby and made the heartbreaking decision to give him up for adoption. That wonderful boy I had met, my great love, stayed with me through it all, and we were married years later. For about 5 years I was broken, but then things started to change. I found something I loved to do, and it was centered around helping women like me. It filled me up. I started to feel stronger and started learning about who I was again. I invested in myself and started to see what I was capable of as a woman. Success created more success, and before I knew it, the life I had dreamt about as a child started to form. I became the mother I would have loved to have had. I created a marriage I would have loved to see for my parents, and every time I hit a crossroad, I leaned into my feelings and learned how to follow the decision that made my heart happiest. Almost every time, it has been the harder decision. But because of my past, I was under no false understanding that I wasn't capable of whatever I wanted to do. I have learned that the darkness pulls me. I am not trying to sound melodramatic, but I don't know any other way of explaining it. I need to choose positivity, choose happiness, be high functioning and productive, or I quickly start to get pulled down towards the darkness created by the sadness of living with my past. The middle ground where most people exist is not accessible to me, and I think it hasn't been since the abuse started. I know I need to stay focused on being present, but also on planning the future I want, because that is where I feel joy and excitement. I know who I am, what I want to be, who I want to be to my kids, my husband, and my community. I also know the darkness is part of me, but that I am in control. The fire is my fuel, the armor is my confidence, my family is my heart, and my work keeps my humanity. Some people will tell you that if you still feel sadness, pain, hurt, and darkness, then you are not over it. I believe you should never be over it. Your body and psyche remind you of the pain to keep you safe in the future. The key is to be able to manage it, to live with the scars on your heart and in your mind the same way someone who has physical scars lives with them. You move forward, knowing it is a part of you, but also with the understanding that it doesn't need to control you or consume you, and that you are capable of whatever you want. You are a survivor. No one can take that from you. Thank you for listening to Gems for Gems, Hope in Hell. Gems for Gems is a registered charity focused on ending the cycle of domestic abuse through providing empowerment and scholarships to survivors. Our goal is to help survivors achieve personal and economic recovery to create lasting sustainability outside of abusive relationships. Gems for Gems has many ways for you to contribute to our cause. We have an empowering swag line through which every dollar you spend will be put directly towards our scholarship program and our newest initiative, Hope's Cradle. Please visit www.gemsforgemsswag.com. There are Donate Now buttons on our website, and as a registered charity, we can give tax-deductible receipts. We also have our ambassador team. If you would like to become more involved and help our organization achieve its goals from the inside, please visit our website, www.gemsforgems.com, and learn more about Gems for Gems. Please tune in to our next story and share this one with anyone or anywhere you would like. We can show every survivor, current victim, and community member that there is always a hope in hell, one story at a time.